Yo, so a lot of shit has been happening, and I have not been on YouTube, so I need to just get something up and talk about what's been happening. But a lot of beautiful things are changing in my life, and I really appreciate all the support that I've been getting. I've had a friend reach out, tell me that he's been supporting my journey, he wants to see more content from me. So thank you. I have a friend who's been taking time to actually learn and get into making content himself. Excuse me. But ultimately, life has been dope. I've been loving everything that's been happening. There's so many great things that I just want to teach you. Right. So, first of all, networking. Networking is the biggest thing because of the fact that it's got me into so many rooms that I was not expecting to get into. Granted, I'm not really in those rooms quite yet. It's more of a thing of I've met amazing people who are really vetting for me to get a chance to get my foot in the door and actually make something happen. And now a lot of it is going to fall on me to make sure I get that stuff moving. But at the same time, it's beautiful to know that I have a support system and people around me pushing and vetting for me to win that I honestly just can't say anything more. If you really want to get into networking, it's not that difficult. Truly go out and be authentic. Most of the situations have happened for me genuinely just saying, I need a little bit of help learning to do this. And somebody who knows somebody who can help me. And it genuinely was just from a thing of me saying, this is what I'm working on, this is what I think I can do soon. And people are like, well, I see the vision. Okay, I want to be a part of it. Or, oh, you might be able to help me. So, here's an opportunity. I know this person, they might be able to get some help over to you before I can, but at the same time, I think I could help you out. And it's so weird because I really don't like asking people for help. It's one of those things that it bugs me. I don't want to feel like a burden. And I've had to talk to a handful of friends about it recently where asking for help seems too much like begging. It's weird. It doesn't matter how little of the ask it is. I really tend to I tend to feel uncomfortable asking for help in any asset or aspect of my life just purely off the fact that I have to take time out of people's day. I have to ask for something. And if I don't use the help I ask for, then I also feel disrespectful for that. And so it's one of those things where I really believe I need to be hyper intelligent or hyper intentional with the help I ask for. But what's been beautiful is through networking, I've been being leveled up. I'm being forced into new situations that make me better without me having to do anything because there's people who see what I can do or they at least see and believe in me to try and put me in rooms where I have to take that next step despite what I really want to do. It's a beautiful thing. So, my biggest three keys when it comes to networking is A, one, be authentic. Two, talk to people around you and tell them what you're working on. And three, always be willing to tell your truth. For me, the third one I haven't talked about quite yet, but the point of it is I've been telling people I'm a videographer. I just started out, but I want to get work. I want to learn how to get better, and I'm willing to exchange either knowledge for money, help for videos, or whatever in between. I haven't been vetting for money. It's really been a thing of I want the knowledge, I want the experience. So if you can put that in front of me, we can work out how to make everything work out. And it's been working beautiful. A lot of people are like, well, okay, cool. So, networking is probably the biggest thing that I want to talk about because that's been bringing in the most change in my life in the recent days. But also, I have a lot of cool things coming on the way as well. I've created an expense tracker that allows you to just simply press new on Notion and it'll populate everything. You just type in what you bought, how much it was, and the date, and then you can categorize it by the type of expense. So, for me, I have snacks, entertainment, rent, or bills and expenses and a few other things mixed into there. You'll see it on the screen somewhere. Point is, now I can go through at the end of each month and just look at everything I purchased, what I was spending my money on, and how that money went out of my pocket. What days I bought more stuff on, whether it was while I was at work or whether I was at home doing nothing. And it just allows me to have a better understanding of my money and know what is happening. And so if you want that, link will be in the description to my Notion page. You can duplicate it and have it for yourself. Use it. And I recommend if you do, send me updates. Show me what your money is looking like, and we can have a conversation about that because more than anything, that's probably going to be the most important thing I talk about over the next span of the next month and a half. Outside of faith, money is one of those big things that I have to make changes to in my everyday life if I truly want to be the king and be the person I tell you guys that I want to be, but also that you should be. And so I'm going to take you guys on that journey, first starting with this expense tracker and understanding where my money is going. I've also built a budget, a budget tracker, and a handful of other assets that, again, will all be down in the description, but will be necessary in the coming days when I start going over a few more things. And so, my goals, the transition there was crazy. I really just messed up and forgot to go into it. But the next important thing is my goals. I've been scaling up my ideas, beliefs, and questions, I guess, about who I can be, how I can be, and how I want to live. And it's been an awesome transition because here, let me jump back. Ultimately, I'm at a point where I decided to up my standard and change the way I look at things. I've been studying a little bit of Dan Coe, a little bit of Myron Golden, and ultimately they taught me one big lesson. Your lowest minimum standard will be your highest level of success at the current place in life. And so I had to decide who I want to be and what standards would at least get me in the general room of that place. And boy, when I really looked at who I wanted to be and how I wanted to be, my standard of my bare minimum was a lot more than I was doing, a lot more than the current me can accomplish, and a lot more than it, I feel possible to be quite real and authentic. But it's when I'm being 100% genuine to the person I want to be, I realize that these are things that I want to be my bare minimum. I don't want to have my bare minimum be barely being able to pay rent, cover bills, and make a meager existence. I want my bare minimum to be everything's completely covered, there's money put aside, there's plenty of food, and we're still going to be able to take a vacation, take a trip, spend time. If there's an emergency, it's covered. I don't want to have to worry about the next big problem. And so my bare minimum of existence has to reflect that. And when I really sat down, wrote that list, I got very nervous, to be quite frank, because I'm so far away from it. And if that's my minimum standard, then that means until I get to that point, I have to live in a very odd spot. It's one where I'm appreciative of what I have and where I am in life, but also I am so disgusted with the fact that I'm not standing up to the standard that I think is just right for me. And it's a tough thing because I don't know. I feel like I should be doing better. I'm young and I have a lot of goals, aspirations, and everything, and it's not like I expect all of it today. But at the same time, I do believe that I have a lot more ability and capabilities. I have the capabilities to reach a higher place than I'm at and what I'm doing. And so, I guess going back to point number one of how important networking is, that's pretty much been the one asset or the one area of my life, I guess I'll say, that I've actually been doing well in. It's one of those things where I'm getting leads towards my business and getting closer to being the business person I want to be, while every other aspect of my life, I'm kind of just lagging behind. I don't have that discipline in place. And so setting that minimum standard really showed me, like, okay, huh, I'm fucking up. To be quite frank, it's as soon as I really looked at that minimum standard, I was like, okay, I'm really messing up in a lot of ways because it, if I'm just standing true to what I want to be, how I say I want to be, then I would be doing a lot of things different. And so I've had to look in the mirror a lot, and it's not easy, but it's fun. It's great. It's actually a really good time to push out of that comfort zone and really look at that. And so realistically, this was the most random rant, but ultimately, the three biggest points are A, I think you need to start looking at how you're networking, who you're networking with, and if you haven't, look into networking. Then, when it comes to finances, I have a bunch of assets I've built, and if you want to start coming on this financial journey and learning about the financial laws that I'm going to follow to end up increasing not only the money I've invested, the money in my savings and getting out of debt, but also creating wealth, finding avenues to make more money and to continue to make money work for you, then come take my assets, come follow this course, and come, just ultimately get your bag up. Like all these things that I'm going to be teaching when it comes to finances, I've read in so many different books that I know where all of them overlie. And so I'm just giving the most condensed version that I've been able to see. And so if you don't know about financial literacy, if you want to learn more, if you just want to be able to follow a journey of someone who is almost $7,000 in debt to getting out of debt and actually having a lot of saved up as well as just being financially free, well, then, come join this journey with me. And the third thing is, I have taken the time to create a new minimum standard for myself, and I think you should too. When you decide a minimum standard, it changes your entire viewpoint of the world. If your minimum standard is $10,000 in your savings, if you're under that, you go into panic mode. You start finding new ways to make money. You start finding new ways to make sure that minimum standard is always secure because that minimum standard becomes what you're capable of being comfortable with. Anything below that, you're gonna hate. That's just how it is. And so if you need to look at your standards as they are now, because your standards have created the life you live. So if your standards dictate that you're going to be out of shape, working this job, and only hanging out with these people, well, then that's okay. But just look around your life now and know not much is going to change. When you up that standard, when you up that level of value that you see from yourself and you see from your life, then things will start to change because you have to act different because the level of your standards decide the level of your action. And so look at your standards, look at your actions, and then you can really decide, is this what I want? Is this who I want to be? So that's my life update. I hope that ramble wasn't too incognizant and it actually seemed intelligible. But if it did, like, follow, subscribe, and come follow me on this journey to be a king. I just want to see y'all win too. Peace.